Welcome back to IGN Live at E3 2016. My name is Marty. I am absolutely exhausted because this show is terrifying, but I'm so excited because we're here at Final Fantasy 15. I'm being joined by Hajime Tabata, his translator Gavin. Thank you guys so much for coming.
No,
thank you.
Thank you.
I looked at my schedule when the week began, and this was the most exciting thing I had on it, so thank you.
今週のスケジュールの中で一番ワクワクするインタビューですよ、これ。聞いてくれてありがとうございます。
すげえ最高のコメントありがとう。
Thanks for that great comment. That's the best comment I've had this week.
Yeah, you guys, you were on stage both at Microsoft and Sony, which I think is unprecedented in the history of
今
E3.
回はですね、ソニーステージもマイクロソフトステージ両方とも出てて、それは E3 の歴史の中で前例がない出来事ですよ。
本当
Really?
Yeah,
い
I
や
think so.
それはものすごく光栄だね。
No, that's such an honor to be able to say that.
No,
Wow.
it's incredible. So we're taking a look at another run through a little bit of what we saw at the Microsoft conference, which is the trial of Titan. And holy hell, this thing is huge.
こ
What's
れは
going
マイ
on
クロソフ
here?
トカンファレンスで見てたものをちょっとおさらいをしてるんですけども、これタイタンの試練ですよね。
そうです
これはもうでかいんですね、とにかく。
そうだね。これはね、ゲームの序盤の一つの山場ですね。
Okay, so this is actually in the very first earlier part of the game where you see this, a certain element in that part of the game.
で今回ハンズオンでも実際会場で用意してますんで、実際触れるものがもうすでにあります。
And this is actually there's a playable version of this over at our booth at the E3 hall. You can actually play this today.
Yeah.
So you said this is early on in the game? Because this looks like this should be like final boss
こ
status.
れはゲームの序盤との今おっしゃったんですけど、これラスボスみたいですよ。
そうだね。まあ序盤前半の山場かな。その序盤最初の方じゃなくて前半の山場ぐらいの。
No, I think maybe not the very first part of the game, but certainly in the first half of the game, and it's perhaps the big climax to the first half in some ways.
まあ実際は今回ね、製品版そのままじゃなくて、10分ぐらいのハンズオンの範囲だけ切り取ってデモにしているものです。
So the actual demo that we're showing this time, it's not the full game which is going out on release. We actually cut out a segment about 10-15 minutes, which is the section you're seeing in here.
Yeah. So how does a fight like that sort of unfold? I mean, how are we? You know, we know Noctis is able to throw his sword and teleport. So are we going to be teleporting up the body of the Titan?
でこれがこのようなボス戦どのように展開するんでしょうか。ノクティスってそういうワープの能力を持っているので、そうやってワープを使ってどんどんタイタンの体を登っていくっていうそういう感じですか。
そう今回タイタンとの戦いは基本的にはそのタイタンに対して空中戦を挑まなきゃいけない。だけどタイタンの巨大な攻撃に対しては一旦距離を取っていろんな場所にワープをしながら避けてまた距離を縮めるっていうような戦法を取らないといい戦いにはなかなか持ち込めない。
Now, the basic idea is that you're fighting aerial battles against his appendages as he comes at you, but during the fight there, he's going to reach out and try and attack you and grab you. And at that point, you obviously have to pull back to the safer zones and then come back in again. And if you don't employ a strategy of that nature, then you're going to find it a very difficult battle.
So we've seen giant creatures like Ramu and Titan. But then we've also seen Carbuncle who's in the Platinum demo, who's very tiny and very adorable. Is it safe to assume we're going to see more that are sort of small as well?
今回そういう巨大な召喚獣のラムーとかタイタンとか見てるんですけど、プラチナデモではカーバンクルっていうちっちゃくて可愛いものも出たんですけども、そういう可愛い方のもののまたたくさん出てくるんでしょうか。
まあたくさんはいないけれどもまだちょっとだけいるよ。
Now, there aren't loads more of them, but there are a few more little cute things.
そうだね。でも次に紹介できるのはおそらく巨大なリヴァイアさんになるんじゃないかな。
But I think the next big monster we're going to be able to unveil is one of the bigger guys. It's going to be Leviathan, I think.
When are we going to see that?
いやいつ見られるでしょう。
それは多分次何か大きなイベントがあるときにそれが公開されるんじゃないかな。
I think we're probably going to be unveiling that at the next big games event that we go to.
Perfect. I'm excited. So we cut here. Obviously, this is the opening of the game.
でこれはゲームのオープニングですよね。
そうゲームの世界にプレイヤーがしっかりと馴染むためにこういったものを入れてますね。
We put this scene in very much so the player can get absorbed and immersed in the world right from the get-go.
Yeah. So what? Did they run out of gas? Did their
ガス切れですよね。燃料切れですね。
そうだね。
Yeah,
でもまあ
that's exactly right.
ほらリニアなストーリーの展開もまあ FF の一つのいい特徴なんだけれども、今回は自分で車を押してその世界と触っている感触っていうのを最初に味わってもらうっていうのが目的だね。
No, I mean Final Fantasy obviously in the past had some very good linear stories, but the idea here is you've got this vast open world to explore, and so we put this in to show that the characters really are interacting with that world right from the start, and to introduce you to that wide vista that you can travel through.
そうこうやって車を押してその世界との感触を味わった後、このメカニックのキャラを短いカットシーンで紹介されて、その後もうすぐにプレイヤーは自由になるっていうのが今回ファイナルファンタジー15のとても大きな特徴の一つだと思う。
So that's one of the big characteristics of Final Fantasy 15 right from the start is this freedom that we give you. So after that little bit of a cutscene where you're going along the road to get used to the characters in the world. Then we introduce you to this mechanic character you see here. And then when that's over, you're straight out into the world and you're free to explore.
So this is the opening area of the game. This is Hammerhead, correct?
Hammerhead ですよね。一番最初のボス。
Hammerhead,
Yes, the Hammerhead. Yes.
So once this ends, you sort of have the freedom here to go off in all directions and try to find something to do.
でこれ本当に自由にどの方向に向かっても旅できるし、これから何かすることを探しに行くわけですかね。
そうです。でも一応そのメインストーリーに沿って進めたいね、クラシックな FF が好きなユーザーが迷わないように、そのメインラインっていうものはしっかりと明示されながら、だけど横道にそれて自由に冒険することもできるっていうそういうゲームになってます。
Okay, so the game's constructed so that for people who like the older, maybe slightly more linear nature of the older Final Fantasy stories, you've got the main route through the story quite clearly signposted. You can just go on there if you want. But for people who want to go off and explore and do things in a bit more freely, you have the complete freedom to go off sideways and do whatever you want outside of that too.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. That's what video games in 2016 are all about: giving players freedom and choice in a giant world.
2016年のテレビゲームってやはり莫大なオープンワールドで自由に行動させるっていうのがポイントですよね。
そうだね。プレイヤーがやっぱりそれをチョイスできるっていうのが大事だと思う。ゲームの側で全てを制約するのではなくて、可能性はいくらでもゲームの方で提示し、プレイヤーがチョイスして遊ぶ。これが大事かなと思ってます。
No, I think that's an important point. Is that the game itself shouldn't decide exactly what the player is going to do, and you can obviously the game side of it has to create all these opportunities for you to go and do stuff. But really, it's about that idea of choice, and the player they have to choose what they want to do themselves. I think.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I know a lot of longtime fans of the series might be looking and saying like, I'm a little worried because the open world nature of it seems to be like a departure from what we've gotten used to, but. I was in Japan doing the making of Final Fantasy 15. Plug. Watch that. And it turns out members of the team have been working on the series for the past 10 iterations. Can you talk about that?
ですね、やっぱり伝統的なファイナルファンタジーのファンずっと最初からプレイしてる人たちは、そういうオープンワールド的な構造になっているのが今までと違って、それちょっと懸念してるんでしょうけど、僕実はですね、この間日本でそのメイキングを作った時に聞いてたんですけど、チームの開発者の中にずっとファイナルファンタジーの1から最初から作ってる人たち多いので、そこら辺についてちょっと説明していただけますでしょうか。
そうだね。これまでのシリーズのナンバリングを作っていたスタッフっていうのが数多く15の開発チームの中にはまず在籍してます。
No, first of all, there are a lot of people who worked on the previous Final Fantasy games, all in the team that's developing 15.
で彼らは今回15で大きくファイナルファンタジーをモダンな現代化するっていうことに取り組みながらも、これまでのファンのことも大事にする開発というものをノウハウとして持ってます。それで今回は両立することができているんじゃないかなっていうふうに考えています。
So certainly using all their experience and their ideas, what they want to put in there, they're very much working to get that balance to achieve satisfying and making happy all the traditional Final Fantasy fans, while also very much moving towards a more modern style of game construction and structure. So I think by having those people there and using their know-how, we really are achieving that in a good way.
I love that. So everything we've seen, or most of the things we've seen so far from the game, from this opening footage to the Dusk Sky demo, a lot of it's taken place in a region that sort of looks like this. It's canyons, it's fields. Can we expect a wider variety of locations throughout the game?
今まで公開された映像とかですね、エピソードタスクもそうですけど、まさに今ご覧になっているこういう大草原で自然界で行われているんですけども、これ以外にもいろんなバリエーションのあるロケーション期待できますでしょうか。
もちろん期待できます。まだまだ公開していないロケーションというのがこのゲームのこれは本当に前半の方のロケしかこれまで公開してませんけれども、まだこれから公開予定のものが結構あります。
Of course, we've got a lot of different locations ready for you. As you say, most of the locations we've revealed so far are in these early sections here. But in the rest of the game further on, there's a lot of other different locations we'll be revealing over the next couple of months.
今日、スクエアエニックスのステージプレゼンの中でゲームの中盤に訪れるオルティシエという街も公開しました。
And in one of our stage presentations earlier on today at our booth, we actually unveiled a new location, a city from round about the middle of the game. It's called Alticia.
What is that place like? Why didn't you guys tell me about
いや、
that?
なんで教えてくれないんですか。どういうところですか。
もう教えているものかと思ってたんだけ
We
ど、
thought we had
聞い
told
て
you
なかっ
already.
たの。
Sorry.
おかしい
You
な。
haven't seen it. Wow, that's strange.
それはすぐ連絡しとくね。
We're just going to end this early and I'm going to go there.
いや、今すぐこの番組来て見に行きたいんですよ。
いや本当だよね。
No,
ぜひ
you
見て
should,
ほ
you
しい。
should, you should. Let's go.
We saw the combat there. You know, the combat in the game is taking a much more action-oriented approach, and you see things like these awesome team attacks. You see switching your sword on the fly. Tell us a little bit about what the
いや
combat's
今
like.
回のコンバットっていうですね、やはりアクションベースですけども、そういう武器を自由に切り替えたり、こういうものすごくかっこいい連携技とか使ったりするんですけど、コンバットについてちょっと教えていただけますでしょうか。
はい。15のコンバットの一番重要なポイントは そういうなんだろうハイレベルなアクションとRPG 的な戦術性とがちゃんとこう両立しているところにあると思います。
I think the core and the really most important thing about the combat in Final Fantasy 15 is that combination of high-level action game gameplay with the more strategic, tactical kind of battles that you expect from an RPG.
でさらにこういったオープンな世界の中でこれだけのアクションができるゲームは他にもなかなかないと思うし、仲間がもうマルチプレイヤーでのゲームを遊んでるかのように自然に振る舞ってくれるようなゲームというのもなかなかないと思うんですね。
I think certainly there's not really many games out there that combine that level of action gameplay with such an open world construction. And also there's not that many games out there where you'll have your companions and the AI assistants from your companions feeling like a proper multiplayer game, like they're actual people playing beside you. So those 2 points are very special, I think.
さらにファイナルファンタジーのユニークな要素の一つの魔法というものもあって、今回のファイナルファンタジーの魔法っていうのは実際この本物のような世界の中に火の魔法ファイヤーであれば本当に火を起こすし、氷の魔法のブリザードっていうものであれば本当に辺り一面を凍らせてしまうような、そういったすごく現実味にあふれた魔法っていうものを使うことができます。
And then on top of that, the final point is the magic, of course, which is a very uniquely Final Fantasy element you're adding into that. And what we've gone for the magic is really designed it so that it feels like it's part of this realistic world, like it could exist in the real world. So, for example, you use the fire magic and you attack someone with it, it'll burn the whole area around you. Or if you use the ice magic called Blizzard, that'll freeze the ground surface in front of you as well. So these real atmospheric effects of the magic are another top point about it.
また多くの武器もゲームの中に登場するので、武器の切り替えをするとほぼそのコンバットスタイルが全然違うものになる、違うアクションゲームを遊んでいるかのような変化を楽しむこともできます。
There's also a lot of different weapon types you can use in the game as well. And certainly switching between those weapons will give you the feeling of maybe even playing a completely different action game with each one. So.
そしてね、マーティに言いたいもう一つのこと、大事なことがあるんだよ。
And there's actually one other thing I very much want to say, quite an important point.
そのゲームの中にバトルモードというものが設定できるようになってるんです、オプションで。
There's actually options. You can set the nature of the combat. There's different battle modes you can choose from in the game.
そのファイナルファンタジーのその伝統的なアクティブタイムバトル ATB が好きなユーザーのためにこのリアルタイムのアクションをウェイトモードに切り替えることもできるんです。
So obviously Final Fantasy traditionally you've had the ATB active time battle system. And for players who like that old kind of active time battle system, we've included something called wait mode, where you can actually pause the game between the action sections to break it up.
そう一見普通のアクションプレイをしているんだけれども、このアナログスティックをパッと離すとその瞬間ゲームが止まってウェイトゲージが表示され、だんだんそれが減っていくんです。その間にゆっくりターゲットを決め、自分のなすべきコマンドを決めたり、仲間への指示をしたり、カメラを動かして状況を把握したり、そういったことが可能になっています。
So with that mode, basically, while you're playing through the action battle, you release the left stick and it'll pause the battle. But while you're paused, you can still move the camera around and look around, change your targets. You can give instructions to your comrades to attack in a certain way, or just look around to get the state of the battlefield at that time. And while you're doing that, there's a weight gauge which goes down, so you're free to do that.
ここにその映像がもう来てるのかと思ったけど、ないの？
I thought we actually had some video here that showed that, but I don't think we have actually.
ない。
That sounds fantastic. I had no idea that existed.
Yeah.
いやあのモードあるの知らなかったんですよ。素晴らしそうです。
そうだね。ちょっとすぐ送るから見てほしいね。IGN の
No,
皆さ
I'll
ん。
definitely send you some footage of it. You really should take a look at it.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely going to use that.
いやあれ絶対に使いますよ僕。
そうね。なのでファイナルファンタジーのそのファンも、そしてモダンゲームが好きなような、そのアクションゲームが好きなようなユーザーもどちらにも満足してもらえるっていうのが今回 FF15 のコンバットの一番の特徴。
So I think that's one of the big draws of the combat for Final Fantasy 15 is the fact that it's something that can appeal to the people who love the traditional Final Fantasy kind of combat, and it also appeals to people who love modern style action games. And you can really satisfy both groups with the combat, I think.
That's fantastic. So we saw a new character a little bit ago. We know Noctis, we know Prompto, we know all of them. Who's this guy with the purple hair?
Yeah,
I feel like he's bad.
いや今回新しいキャラがもう初めて紹介されたんですけども、ノクトとかプロントとかそういう主人公たちはもう分かってるんですけども、今回の紫色の髪型誰でしょうね。結構悪者そうです
い
けど。
やあれはアーデンという名前のその敵の軍にいるキャラクターです。重要なキャラクターです。
Okay, this guy, his name's Arden, and he's a part of the enemy army that you're fighting against. He's a very important character.
あれはトレーラーの中で、ルシスの国王が座る椅子に足をかけてたんですよね。
And I think you can see in the trailer, he's actually put his foot up on the throne which the king of the Lucius should sit in.
非常に不敵な キャラクターです。
He's a very frightening, very formidable enemy character.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna fight him at some point,
いや
aren't we?
絶対に彼と戦うことになるでしょう。
まあ、その想像はおそらくその間違ってないんじゃないかな。
No, I think your imagination there, what you're picturing, is probably not too far from the truth.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So right now we're at a moment. Noctis got some bad news. What just
で
happened?
今ここですね、ノクティスがかなり悲しいお知らせを聞いたところですけど、どういう情報だったでしょうか。
これはノクティスとその仲間たちが自分の国を旅立った後にその国が敵国のニフルハイム帝国に襲撃されたっていうニュースを聞いていたシーンです。
Okay, this is where Noctis and his friends, after they've set off on their journey, they hear that in their absence, their homeland, the kingdom of Lucius, has been attacked and occupied by the enemy forces of the Niflheim Empire.
でノクトたちはそのルシスへ戻ろうとするんだけれども国境が封鎖されていて戻れず一体国で何が起きているのかがわからないという状況で旅を続けることになるんです。
And obviously they rush back to Lucius to find out what's going on, but at the national borders, they find the borders have been sealed off with a picket line from the enemy forces, and then they decide to continue their journey onwards to find out what exactly has happened while they've been away.
でその時ルシスの国で一体どういう戦いが行われているのかっていうのはキングスグレイブという映像作品の方で描いています。
And the truth about what actually happened in their absence, the kind of battles that went on in the capital city of Insomnia while they were away, that's depicted in the separate film that we produced,
こ
King's
れ
Grave.
が
Yeah.
そうですね襲撃されているとこ
We
ろ
saw
ね。
the scene there where they're coming into attack.
Yeah, that's yeah. I got to spoilers. I got to see a little bit of footage from Kingsglaive when I was in Japan, and it looked absolutely incredible. That's
Yeah,
something
僕ね
that I'm
日本
looking
に
forward
大
to
で
just as much as the game.
ちょっとネタバレ的なものを見たりして、見たんですけど、非常に良さそうでした。
そうだね。やっぱりね特にアメリカのハリウッド映画が好きな人たちにぜひおすすめしたいものです。キングスグレイブは。
No, I mean, I really would recommend Kingsglaive to people who like Hollywood action movies. It's a great film for them.
それはどうしてかというとそのファイナルファンタジーではあるんですけれどもとてもいわゆるファイナルファンタジーらしさよりもその本物の人間たちが織りなすドラマっていうところが大事にされている作品でありまたものすごくなんだろうな驚くようなアクションが本当に映画の中にいっぱい散りばめられている。
And the reason why I say it's a great watch for people who like those kinds of films is because, of course, it's very much Final Fantasy, but on top of that, it really shows that kind of human drama and realistic human characters and how they emotionally interact with each other. And in addition to that, it's also got some amazing, really surprising, really cool action scenes as well. So it brings all that together into one really good film.
Yeah, we have Sean Bean, Aaron Paul, Lena Headey, an incredible cast.
そうだね。
いやー、そういうキャストもものすごいですよね。
キャストも本当に物語をすごく演出してくれているしアクションも本当にキャストのおかげでよりかっこよくなってますね。
No, they really do play all their parts in the story to perfection,
Yeah.
and because of those performances they give, it really adds to the action scenes as well.
Fantastic. So what did we just see in that tomb? We saw there was some sort of a battle axe that entered Noctis. Is that how you acquire weapons?
今のところ見たんですけど、非常に面白いんですけど、そのなんか斧みたいなバトルアクスみたいな武器がノクトの中に入り込んだっていうシーンだったんだけども、そうやって新しい武器を獲得するシステムですか？
そうだね。ノクトが集めなければならないなんだろうな特別な武器というのがあってそれを一つ獲得したシーンが多分さっきのシーンですね。
I think that the scene we just showed there, it shows part of the quest where Noctis has to acquire these very special weapons and their special powers. That's why we saw him just
だけ
getting one
ど
of those.
彼が必要とする武器は一つじゃないいくつも集めなきゃいけないんです。
But he doesn't have to just get that one weapon. There's a number of them he has to collect as part of his quest.
Seems absolutely fantastic. Gentlemen, I cannot wait. Tabata-san, Gavin, thank you very much. It's been 10 years in the making, and we are only 3 months away from the release of Final Fantasy
3ヶ
15.
月しかないんですね。
I absolutely can't wait.
Too much
Thank you very
chaos.
much, guys. Stick around. We're going to have so much more here, right here, IGN Live at E3 2016.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere.